Good evening and welcome to the Targeted Massachusetts Northeast Conference. My name is Frank Allen. I'll be your host this evening. How you doing tonight, Michael?
Hey, I'm here, man. I'm hurting, but I'm here. How's that?
Yeah, that's about the size of it, I think, for everyone. Got
Yeah.
a lot of people out there hurting, and we're getting the word out. That's the important thing. I think we might extend, maybe not this week, but next week, we'll extend this call into 10 o'clock and see if we can catch an hour's worth of locals. And if it works out well, maybe we'll go farther. We'll see.
There you go.
So how is everyone tonight? I mean, we've got Sharon so far. We've got Jay, Mike, Name, and Restricted Anonymous. This call is only producing, we get like 20, 25 people, but they're good people. And I'm just hoping to reach out to a few more. Because we've got Jane from Life Stolen, who's not here. We've got a few others. We've got two new people from Australia that have joined. And we have somebody from France that hasn't been with us for a long time. And we have Stephen from the UK. He'll probably be in any time. But we've got a lot of interesting news that's going on. Let me see if I can open up our newsletter for this past Sunday. And the big thing that we went after this week was, I've got to get the entire message here. I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to try to. There we go. We're in the process of upgrading, so it's touch and go. But we've got founder of TI Day, celebrated August 29th of every year, and this is Louis Rowe's new endeavor, and we'll see how he makes out. He was a guest last Friday. And I think we've seen this before. Former CIA officer struggles with Havana syndrome. But what I wanted to really get into is the U.S. Brain Initiative set to lose $81 million this year. Now, I wonder if that's going to be something that's good for us. It could be. They will see a cumulative loss of roughly $1 billion by 2026. And as usual, they say it's money that could have been put toward understanding and treating neurological disorders. But that's what it does. But while they are testing people, they are weaponizing others, unfortunately. Hi, Jennifer. And California has a new bill that would regulate brain-computer interface data. That's something you might want to see. If you pick up a brand new newsletter like next Sunday, you can always see, issues like 10, 15, 20 issues back. And we've got another article here, Interfacing with the Brain, How Nanotechnology Can Contribute. Well, it can. And this is ACS Nano. Apparently they're a large company involved. And these are all the contributors here above. But that's a really good read. And this is just, remember the 5th of November. Good old Anonymous. And here's Tranquility's link to her site. But I'd like to get back to this loss. And can we attribute this, do you think, to President Trump? Or do you think that it's because the money is going elsewhere? Like to some other AI organizations. DARPA is not mentioned lately, and it's I don't think it's intentional. I don't think they have anything to actually add, because we've got we've got a few good companies that have taken up the fight. But has anybody in California run into this bill that would regulate computer interface data? Because that's a vital one right there. Go ahead, Mike. You're up here.
What do you want? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just trying to go over the aspect that the U.S. Brain Initiative is set to lose $81 million this year and up to $1 billion next year. So I was just curious as what everyone thought. Where is the money going now that we don't have the Democrats firing?
Well, I would say, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, that the Brain Initiative program has absolutely not one thing to do with the Targeted Individuals program. I've been targeted for over 31 years. And this is a BCI. It is a brain-to-computer interface that they've been interacting. And it's a two-way continuous 24/7 pulse of an electromagnetic radiation. I've got the older technology in me. They put chips in me decades ago. There's a lot involved here, but what I'm saying is, I guess maybe some people are being targeted today so that they could use them for training, research, and development programs, but I don't think that's got anything to do with the Brain Initiative, in my opinion. I think it's a total separate issue, but I just wanted to say that to you.
Okay, I can agree to disagree on that simply because after President Obama kicked the door open, that's when this stuff really took root, and it was like wildfire in terms of advancements. So it's just something that I wanted to put out there for you. But I agree, there's possibilities of everything. Numbers don't mean anything, but in this case, they might. People are withdrawing and going to companies like OpenAI and possibly investing money there. Obviously, the government...
Well,
Go ahead.
I do a lot of research and the brain-to-computer interface, and I wanted to know what the facts was. Who's in charge of this? Who's in control of doing the data collection and interacting with our brains? I found out a lot, and the Department of Defense has a biosurveillance program.
Okay.
you can go to Google and look on Google Department of Defense Biosurveillance Program. It was last updated in 2020. They turned it into law. They made it a law in 2013 that allowed them to do biosurveillance on the whole global population. They claim that they can detect cancers and diseases in the human body from satellite, and that was just one of many reasons why they made this law. And so, through the Department of Defense's biosurveillance program, if, like I said, if you research this, you will see that they are able to do in real time biosurveillance on the planet and everything in the planet, which is us as well. So between the NSA Echelon satellites that they're using and SIGINT, the Air Force Geospace Intelligence Agency that's collecting all the encrypted data, they're collecting the encrypted data on everybody because it's total data collection and it's too much data. So national security has all this data being processed through automatic AI systems. You can also look up National Security AI program of 2024, and you'll see in that everything is literally being processed through AI, through national security. So you tie them all together. You tie the Echelon satellites, the Air Force, the NSA, and the Department of Defense, because they're the one that's policing the globe in real time.
You can't,
and then you can even tie in more together, but
you can. You
I'm
have
just
to add
throwing
in
that out there,
Okay, you have to tie in NIH because they are actually in there. The leader of it is Dr. John Nagai. He is the director, and he oversees the initiative's efforts everywhere, I guess. And the goals if you look at the goals, mapping brain circuits, understanding brain activity, identifying cell types, advanced neurotechnology, or advancing, translating discoveries. And there's just so many things that they're into. But they don't mention any type of contact with citizens. So this is another reason why you may believe that, wholeheartedly believe it, and it's probably true. But I like to throw in a wrench in the gears every once in a while if I can. But I appreciate your content that you always bring. You always bring something very good. But all of these agencies, we have to watch carefully. We have to see who emerges and what they are actually offering, and if they have any government contracts. That's the key, the government contracts. So we know already that the BRAIN initiative is sewn into DARPA and DOD. But we have to understand, and until we find exactly how they are delivering this product, we'll call it, how they are delivering this disorder, this scourge on mankind, until we find out exactly how it's delivered, we're in a little bit of a quandary, I think. Now, power line communication, I've mentioned. A lot of people don't understand that all of the satellites get powered up by the grid. Everything gets powered up by the grid. And people say that they get this on airplanes, commercial jets. Well, they would, because they are getting information from the satellites. PLC powers up the dishes on the ground to the satellites. So Elon Musk could probably get on here and explain the hell out of this, but he's not here. But what do you think Elon Musk has to do with this, Michael?
Well, that's a really good question that I really don't have an honest answer for. I have no idea because he's not elected in any way whatsoever. And, you know, I got a post that I can put in the chat room here when I'm done talking where it says the Department of Defense, and this was just released within the past 7 days, are losing 21,000 people that work inside of the Department of Defense because of Elon Musk. And all the information is in there. So, I mean, you're going to have to educate me on that, really.
Okay, the reason why people are parted from their positions, for the most part, is because they haven't been there. I know that's hard to believe, but Elon Musk has been running the corporate registers, and as you know, everything, no matter who it runs for, is corporate one way or another and keeps books. So what he has learned is there's thousands and thousands upon thousands of employees that don't report to work and collect a check. And this has been okay for the Democrats, but Mr. Trump doesn't like it. And Elon Musk's technology is capable of uncovering all this without any type of data release or data loss. So he says. So what they're doing is they're getting rid of people that aren't doing anything. And they're getting rid of people that aren't on top of what they're supposed to be doing. They might be the ones that are, taking a long weekend every weekend. But anyway, that's it. They're not doing their jobs. That's why they're being let go, for the most part. I don't agree with a lot of it myself, Michael, but let me see what you got here.
Yeah, that article in there about the DOD.
Okay.
That.
Okay, I got an error 404, page not found, on that last link. Yeah, I got it again, too. It comes up Military Times, but many times if you come up with a good article, it will disappear.
Okay, I'm going to put it in there again now.
Okay, all right, that sounds good.
Can I just add one thing? I was listening.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. All the people that you mentioned, Frank, were not elected either. And they're taking from the government. The ones who've been fired have been fired for reasons like you mentioned. They're not elected. And the big quandary is that Elon was not elected. He's appointed by a man who was elected in a mandate.
Okay.
So that's something I believe that the people want to see happen. And that's all.
We have plenty. You know how many interns that we have in the United States government? I mean, they're there to learn, which is totally different. But they are not actually elected. If you go through and weed out all of the people that are elected, you're going to find them to be senators, House people, and the president. You're not going to get that many people that are elected except heads of departments who in turn appoint people to help them. So I know there's a lot of people out there that do not approve of the school committee being cut. But they want the school systems in the states to handle it. And I can understand that because... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you brought up two or three things here. One is, I'm talking about the people who are not elected make up this huge, humongous monster called a bureaucracy. That's how we get people who go home, get a paycheck, and don't work. That's how we get things like that happening. Okay, just a second. That bureaucracy, that's what Donald Trump has campaigned on attacking, and Musk has said he's always wanted to get to the bottom of these questions about how many people are working who were appointed a long time ago, or they came in and, like you said, they're being trained, they're in training. And I know we've had people on the call say they've been studying to work for the government. It's been a really lucrative thing to do, but it's so bloated that somebody had to say at one point or the other said Obama said it was bloated, but he never did anything about it. Nobody else has ever done anything about it, and now we've got someone doing something about it, and we've got these people pulling their hair out because he's doing it. Now, why?
Well,
that's my question.
Yes,
That's something else you brought up. I can't remember what it was.
Elon Musk has lost, I think, billions and billions of dollars in the stock market recently, and you don't see him even flinch. I think you could wear him down to his last dollar and he'll still be there. But he's doing a job, and I think he's doing it well. Big government is what we've been trying to get rid of. Big government has been taking your tax dollars for years and years. Big government, especially, it would seem to be the Democrats, run up. I mean, we only take in $4 trillion and we spend 10, we'll say. Or at least we spend over. If you and I did that, well, the government's not going to help us. They're going to say, hey, you owe us taxes on that, and if you don't have any money, well, we'll have to come and get your year. They'd come up with some arrangement, I'm sure. But it's not good. It's not good to set an example like that. We have a government crazy with spending, and the populace is supposed to keep their books balanced. It doesn't make sense. Comment?
Right. You asking me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to go back to your original question that was about the BRAIN Initiative.
Okay, good.
I'm looking through and I can't find it in here. Dr. Hall wrote a book it's been 10 years now since it came out in 2015. But in it, he talked about, I believe he was talking about surveillance, NSA surveillance at the time. And the way he put it is kind of the way you put what has happened recently or with Obama. He said President Bush set up the tee and Obama came and kicked it into the end zones. And I believe he's talking about roughly the same thing that you were talking about too, that Obama has set up this BRAIN initiative and it's been kicked into the end zone. And I believe that can be stopped. We got one president in my entire lifetime who wants to reverse the wrongs that he sees are there. And I see a lot of those wrongs too. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to God for sparing his life, for his appointing someone like Elon Musk who's okay with losing money. It's horrible that nutcases are out there trying to destroy, private owners, of his Tesla properties or his Tesla. Even people who just own a Tesla. I couldn't afford a Tesla anyway, and I like gas-powered cars. And I don't want to go to Mars, and I don't like my atmosphere being filled with satellites. There are a lot of things I don't like about technology, but I am grateful, beyond grateful, that we have someone like Elon Musk here in this United States, as opposed to the same kind of research, the same kind of stuff that's going on all around the world with our adversaries. Now, he's the one who just brought 2 astronauts back from space when they shouldn't have been there for months. No, we don't know for sure what's done to their bodies. They were supposed to be there for 8 days, I think. He should be something of a hero to a lot of people. Instead, you've got really deranged nutcases out there destroying what they can just to get back at him in a political way. And I think until the man does something that is against my principles, he's talented in what he does. He's gifted by God. I hope he realizes that one day, for sure. That he's got a brain, he's got a way to, he knows how to organize. He's exactly the right person right now. I want to know how much gold is in Fort Knox. I've been told that all my life.
I think there's a lot
There are all
of
kinds of
I think there's a lot of
mysteries.
IOUs in there. That's what I think.
It gives you just papers. Okay, I'm done. I'm working on something. I need to be just listening for a while. So I'm going to do that. Thank you, Frank.
Oh, thank you
One
so much.
thing.
Sure.
Someone said, it's a different subject. Someone said that Victoria from Russia came on your call.
No. She actually,
No.
she has been in the past, naturally, but she
Oh.
sent me a message on Telegram.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, she did come on one of the calls. I think it was Derek's call one night. Saturday night, all she said was, all I heard, because I don't stay for the whole thing, was that she was back. Her targeting has stopped, but her family's not with her anymore. And I don't know what that means. She said she would tell about it. So someone said that they thought they'd heard something on Frank's call. So I was hoping you had more information, and I hope she's all right. I said a prayer for her just a few days ago because I was thinking it'd been a long time since we've heard from her. So
Right.
anyway, thank you.
Sure.
I'm done now.
All right. She may have come to an agreement with someone in Russia. I don't know. But when somebody's targeting stops dead, there's a big question mark and a red question mark in my mind. What's going on, Because, we'd like to have it happen to us.
Well, I'm not thinking about us. I'm thinking about her situation.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not really trying to relate it to that. If she wants to, that's okay. She lives in another country that's different from ours. So I'd rather not speculate on why this and why that. I just thought if she had already volunteered it, that would be good. But God bless her.
Yes. Well,
She's got
I've said
major.
in the past, in Russia, this targeting is spoken of at the breakfast table. They know all about it.
Yeah.
And, over here, nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody wants to admit that it exists because if they do, they're afraid it'll happen to them. That's human nature
Mm-hmm.
playing its role
Yeah.
on this.
And we the people have the right to make decisions where they don't. So why not talk about it?
Exactly.
If I were a dictator, I'd talk about it at my breakfast table, and say, this is what I'm doing, this is what, like it or not, this is what I'm doing. And that's what happens over there. And I'm very grateful not to live in that country. So
Yes.
hopefully people here, we the people, will make decisions that will be the best ones to preserve what we have. Otherwise, we're going to lose it all.
Right.
I'm going to say one more thing.
Oh, go ahead.
I get away from the calls sometime because I'm sick of the tunnel vision, that we can't think of anything but ourselves. And that bothers me a lot because we're just a part of the problems in this world and just a part of the problems in this nation. And it's complex. The swamp is deep, and I'm hoping we'll start looking within to find some remedy, because I believe that's the only way to solve it. God's the only one who can solve it, and he does it from within. People need to care about other people as opposed to themselves. That includes all Americans as well as all. I'm not talking just about TIs. It's just I think the technology likes it that way. They want us to talk about nothing but ourselves and what they are doing, and they are doing it. They are hateful. They're horrible. And I think that's a mistake, and it has been the whole 20 years I've been around this mess. So, anyway, I got to go because I talk too much.
Okay.
I'll talk
No,
to you
you
later.
don't.
God bless you.
God bless. I just wanted to say that one of the things that COVID has done is psychological. It has driven a 6-foot boundary between people that still exists today. There are masks on in many, many, many places still. But this 6-foot boundary will not go away. I'm seeing it everywhere. And because of the mask, the emotion that a person was trying to display, short of smiling, did not make it out. So, if you cover up everyone's emotions and they cannot display any emotions, you're driving a wedge, and it's still 6 feet between people. Hi, Gary. I was just going to mention your post. And Gary wrote, it's only far left people that are doing it. Democrats honestly have run amok. And they have. They know it. They should be, instead of throwing buses at Trump, they should be siding with him because what he is doing is working. And it's a good thing. They should find some way of siding with him without being Republican. The Democrats and the Republicans used to get along. I mean, there were two parties, but they weren't warring parties. They were more gentlemanly than they are today. If you look at a debate, like, for instance, JFK, if you look at the debates back then between JFK and Nixon, they were very, very straight up, gentlemanly, and no one would dare call the other one any kind of disparaging name or anything like that. But today, I mean, there's a presidential debate. They might as well bring out the cutlery, you know, bring out the Swiss sword, you know, because it's terrible now. I've never seen the likes of it. But yes, Gary, I agree with that. The Democrats wrote BLM, well, maybe not BLM. They wrote somebody a check in Washington State. They did. That was on the news. If I can find the clip, I will put it up here. But they did. They wrote somebody a check for a lot of money, and then everything stopped. And we mentioned, I think, quite a while back that, I mean, we had pallets of bricks placed on each corner. Wherever they wanted the bricks thrown, they put a pallet of brand new bricks. Not old bricks, brand new bricks. And we had Chinese firearms. So, this is why President Trump wants all of these migrants out of the country, because all it takes is one Osama bin Laden type in the country. Just one. And how many do we have? President Trump thinks we have 22, 23 million migrants in here of Chinese descent. And all of the Chinese that came here were of military age, with no spouses, just themselves. Anybody care to comment?
I just wanted to say. Go ahead.
I have a comment concerning migrants. I think that everybody here, unless they're Native American, are migrants, and so this is Sandy, Frank, and to lump everybody in a big bucket like that. So you want to get rid of every migrant?
No.
Okay, well, it just can't be. A lot more people would need to be leaving or be forced to leave if that were to be the case.
Well, we have migrants.
Native Americans would be left, which might be a good thing at this point.
The Native Americans don't come out and murder people and occupy people's apartments, wait for them to come home, and then kill them. We have.
But what I'm saying is you cannot lump every.
No. Illegal.
You're saying get rid of all migrants. All migrants do not commit crimes like that.
Okay.
And
they're illegal.
And when you look at the history of the United States and see what group has really committed the most killing in the history of this country. So having said that, I think that, I'll even quote Trump, which I probably never have done, and hopefully will never do again. But he said something to the effect recently about those not taking a hatchet to whatever it is they're doing and using a scalpel. So if you take that analogy and apply it to, migrants, whatever term you want to use, then you would see that you have to have some reason to, to look at a person. I'm not saying migrants don't come here and commit crimes, because that happens. That absolutely happens. But not everyone is doing that. And I would think that as a targeted individual, you may want to think about that, because not everybody is committing crimes against us. So when you look at it in that light, I'm just saying, don't lump everybody. I'm African American, so African Americans get blamed for a lot of crap that goes on, and have borne the brunt of a lot of crap over the history of this country. So I'm just saying, maybe, not lump everybody in that same bucket. Because if that were the case, I would have some serious issues with a lot of Caucasians, and I I have some issues with some Caucasians, but not everyone.
Okay, I'm going to direct you right now, if you are in fact on a computer, to the Allen Institute for Human Rights website. And I've dropped down to circa 1913, Ellis Island, the Great Hall, registry room for immigration into the United States. And I'm not going to read this to you, but I'm going to compare. Look at this image here of an orderly procession of people applying for citizenship and learning some history. And now I come down here and we have got crowds of migrants running across the border following President Biden's directions. He even had an app for it. But, you know, I am not going to get into a debate about politics, because by law I cannot. All I can do is explain what I know. It was very hard to become an immigrant. The Irish did it, the Italians did it, the English did it, everyone did it. But we did it the right way. We didn't break down.
Black people didn't come through Ellis Island.
Okay, all right. Well,
For the most.
I understand what you're saying, but black tribesmen were paid money to gather up their buddies. You know that too.
True. This is true.
Yep.
This is true. But what happened after that? Once black people got here, I mean, this is really, I think, a topic that's outside of the topic of targeting, which I'm more interested in at the moment. But I just wanted to make a comment on what you said about all migrants, because I think that's really, it's really painting a lot of people with the same brush. Now, do I think that legal immigration is the way to go? Yes, I do. I don't really necessarily believe that, coming in illegally to any country is the thing to do, because countries have laws, which the current regime is not, not too keen on, because they believe that laws don't apply to them. By law, someone convicted of a felony could not be president. Yet here we have a president who is a felon. So I guess that's all I have to say about that.
Hey, Frank, this is Gary. How are you today?
Okay, how you doing, Gary?
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk for just a second. One thing that what's really scary about the whole immigration situation, this is such, as you know, an extremely complicated subject. It's even more complicated now in this day and age than it ever has been, and it's more complicated for several reasons. Being targeted, I have learned more in the last 6 years than I ever wanted to know. And one thing that is very concerning is that we know that there are people that come to this country. I know for a fact that targeting is happening in Honduras, targeting is happening in Guatemala. And I know that when these organized criminal syndicates take root, it explodes. And so some of those people are coming here for the safety of the United States. However, and I feel awful for those people, and it's a terrible thing that this type of targeting would send you into another country. And as we all know, as targeted individuals, I think some of us have tried to escape. I mean, look at Brian too, for crying out loud. Well, here's the problem: is that the same people that are targeting TIs that are not U.S. citizens, those same people are also coming over here, and that's what makes the situation even more complex. Is that we've got TIs all over the place in every country, pretty much, and the same criminals that are chasing those people into the U.S. are the same criminals that are coming over here. And so then not only do we have the actual criminal syndicates that are coming over here, but then we also have to remember that we have social engineering going on like never before, and that's causing just a huge shakeup. We have companies, for crying out loud, we have companies that purposely are sending people into this country to destroy the country, and that's nothing new. That's been going on for the last 50, 60 years. But it's happening on such a scale, and it's all being facilitated by the very technology that all of us TIs are being abused by, and that makes it complicated. And it's so sad because when I was in jail in a town called Warrenton, Missouri. It's about 50 minutes outside of St. Louis, and I had a retired sheriff deputy. I told him that I was targeted, and he told me something so frightening. He said that our country is on the verge of race wars. And it's where basically one race just breaks into a house and just everyone, the family's sitting down watching TV. You're talking about white people breaking into black people's homes, just blowing them away. Black people breaking into white people's homes, blowing them away. Hispanics breaking into black people's homes, blowing them away. The prison industry loves race wars. All of this is really spooky because I have so many different types of friends. I have so many different types of people of all political, affiliations. I would hate to see this country to where people just start blowing each other away. But this technology is dangerous. This is a war weapon, and it is facilitating and amplifying all of these issues. At least that's kind of how I look at it. And we do have some very, very nasty criminals coming into this country.
Well,
it's the fault of every president for the last 30 years, in my opinion, because it's like, it's a little disappointing because, so now we have to round up, or they say they're going to 12 million people. In my opinion, I wonder if they would even be able to round up that many, because 12 million people, I mean, it would shock me if they would even have the ability to deport 6 million. I mean, it's a huge number of people. The scale of it is something that's never happened before in this country, and it scares people. But you know what? Race wars scare people. It scares everybody, and nobody wants to see that happen. So, this is a problem over the last 30 years that, they should have been, instead of all of this political infighting, they should have been doing what they should have been doing the whole entire time, which is properly, vetting people. They've had the technology to vet people since 9/11, but instead they attack us TIs with it instead of doing their actual jobs. But anyway, that's my opinion. I'll mute now.
Hey, Frank, I'd like to say something. Hello?
Go ahead, Sandrina. We can
You
hear
know,
you.
okay, great. Thank you. I'm very disheartened. I am a native of Louisiana where David Duke was the president of the KKK. Growing up, we didn't even know he existed. Why? We didn't run the same groups that he was in. We were not educated to him because it was not important. I am pro government. Well, I was pro government. You know, I worked for Fortune 500 companies. And once I got targeted to see the things that occur, it is really absolutely unbelievable. It is so disheartening to know that our government would do this to us. You know, and the people who volunteer to go into the military forces, the way that they are treated is incredible. Not only us, but just all over. It is really, really, it's really disheartening. And I can say that I am truly forever changed.
Okay, we lost you, Gary. Okay, either we lost you or you were just finishing up, one or the other. Okay, so Stephen's.
Oh, you must have
Sorry,
dropped it, right?
my mic keeps. I have a sticky mic. It's not. Yeah, I mean it's that's what concerns me is that I feel like they're using this. I mean, it's not just us that they're using this technology on. We are front and center, but of what's happening. But I mean, they're definitely using this technology in other ways too. And it's. I just think that it's society breaking apart. It's society, um, you know, the extremism is, it's too much for most people, and to be truly educated and to really care about people is, is why we're all on this call, is because we're all victims of it. It's very concerning. I have one of my older TI friends. I mean, like, she's as conservative Republican as you can get. And she sent me a text message and she said, well, now I'm scared because they're disappearing people in New Mexico. There 48 people were disappeared. And I said, oh, I saw that article, but I didn't really read it. So I opened it up and sure enough, 48 people, well, they were taken in. ICE captured those 48 people that were disappeared, meaning that they were apprehended by ICE and they were taken out, but they did not publish. They're not being transparent, and they're not giving the information of where these people are. And and she just had a hissy fit because she's a constitutionalist. And so my 82-year-old best friend is like, now I'm afraid that I'm speaking out against Trump. I said, you donated like $8,000 to the Trump campaign. So I don't think that she's like, are they going to, because I'm against terrorism? And I said, well, I don't think that they will, but she's saying, well, this is against this is a human rights violation. You can't disappear. and it's also against the Constitution. And so, we're at this point in time where we're all looking at our rights, and we're all looking, and everybody's scared. Everybody's, getting pounded by, basically illegal bans of frequencies, and they have the ability to pull the wool over our eyes like they've never had the ability before, and they're using this technology to do it. I know who I am, and I think that when you know who you are and where you come from, and all of the things that you were before, you still are, but we're, as TIs, we're thrust into this very, very bizarre and extremely spooky situations on a daily basis. And we're having to, not just roll with the punches, but, rolling with the punches and being a TI aren't the same thing. Rolling with the punches of, oopsie daisy, I drove over a nail and my head popped. Rolling with the punches is, oh gosh darn it, my alternator quit working in my car today. Or I got fired from my job. Being a TI is you are getting consistently abused by, 20 to 30 frequencies, rogue frequencies coming into your house. Some of them are in the gray area of, medical experimentation that none of us signed up for or consent to. And it's very perturbing that, this stuff makes people lose their minds. This stuff makes people go completely crazy. And, and I'm not ashamed to admit, I've probably had many times where I have just totally, I've come very, very close. I'm surprised I'm not, the the mass shooter. And sometimes I've even had people that have said that they think that I'm going to go into a Target and just blow people away, or go into a Walmart and just start blowing people away. Well, now that would be quite strange for me to do, because that's not who I am. That's not who any of us are. But when you're talking about technology that can actually turn you into that, they have the ability to create social chaos, and they do it. They love to do it.
I would like to give you an example of social chaos when there's no law enforcement, when there is no one around. And that is Louisiana during Hurricane Katrina. I mean, we had dead bodies lining bridges. We had two different, I believe they were gymnasiums or auditoriums. One was a gym where people were taking refuge, and the other one was an enemy location. And, we had all kinds of things going on there. And it was what will happen in the United States if for some reason we don't have police. That will happen, I promise you that. Because people unleashed without any type of supervision are like a bunch of little kids. They are. That's also human nature. If you're not, it's just like the perpetrators. They're not being grabbed yet. Maybe some of them are. But they're not being grabbed yet, so they're like a bunch of little kids. They've got a new toy or an old toy, and they're using it because they can. And they're getting away with it so far.
Frank,
Yes.
I didn't realize that you had taken a little break. I spoke a couple of minutes ago. This is Sandrina. I am a Louisiana resident, and I was saying I grew up in a wonderful environment from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and David Duke, the president of the KKK, lived in my same county, my same parish, I should say, and we had no clue who he was because he didn't run the same gamut we run. It wasn't important for us to know him. I went to elementary school, high school, college. I graduated from LSU. I can tell you, I lived a very prestigious, loving life. It was only until I moved to Florida that I realized prejudice. And people look at me and they're like, "What? That's unbelievable." But it's a fact. It's the truth. When I got a government job, I was being trained by an individual who wanted to educate me to what the segregation policies were in Florida way before I came. And she let me know what beaches we could go to, what beach was for black people, and blah, 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 blah. And finally, after all of that, I asked her, I said, "Is this a part of my training or you're just venting?" So once she realized I had no interest in hearing what she had to say, she stopped. But my point is, this targeting program has forever changed me. It really has. I have worked for governmental agencies, five-star corporate companies, and I have been a leader in everything that I do. Then all of a sudden, I get a police guy living next to me, which was probably planned, I don't know. But all of a sudden, he wanted to be my best friend. And lo and behold, after 6 years, he decided that he would target me. Why? I have no clue, but it was all part of the program. But it's really incredible how they can change your total mentality. I was so pro government. If somebody was doing something wrong, somebody was getting beat up, there was an accident, there was debris in the road that could hurt someone, hey, non emergency, Sandra called them to let you know what's going on, and they were on it. Even today, as a targeted individual, they know what I say is factual. When I speak out, I can say, "Hey, I'm at TD Bank. There is a crackhead checking all the doors." All of a sudden, poof, there's the sheriff's department. They're going down each and every aisle because I'm reputable. Now, how in the heck I get involved in some of this crap? How do I get involved in this crap? There is no explanation. They want to change who you are. They want you to be like them, and they do whatever it takes. I am heavily targeted. I have done everything I can to avoid these individuals. God has blessed me to where I own 10 different properties. I know I'm right after I learn about what they're all about. That's really what it really is. But at the same time, I reported this officer to our sheriff's department, letting them know what he was doing to me. I didn't lie. I didn't make it up. The same things that I reported is what he's doing today. And they know it. But what I'm saying is we are forever changed going through the targeting program. We'll never be the same. We'll never be the same. I just thank God for covering me, shielding me, and keeping me alive because there's no explanation why I'm still here because I moved from my home, which is right next door to him. God blessed me to move into another property that I have that is 30 minutes away. Do you know that this gentleman stands and pays the people behind me, stands in their yard and targets me? I can see him. He moves around so that I know that it's him. He brings his vehicle. I'm looking at him. He's looking at me, and I'm thinking, wow, you got to leave your home, come over here. What in the world could I have possibly done to you to make you change your entire life? It's been 6 years now, and he continues to target me. I got arrested for filling out a FOIA request after reporting him so many times. Do you know that our local sheriff's department knocked on my door and arrested me for filing a false police report? Once they realized that that was incorrect, I went to court. They threw it out. How do you just throw something out when you come in somebody's home, drag them out, put them in handcuffs? Can you explain that? No,
I can't.
no.
I can't, and that's what's wrong with this country. It's going against the Constitution to, without any provocation, enter your home and grab you. And the fact that they say that you gave a false report, well, that's up to you, isn't it? They are civil servants. They are your civil servants. They are there to serve you and protect you. So they are all wet with that. I would countersue if I were you.
I will, but I'm in the court proceedings. And what happened was once they got an opportunity to evaluate what they did, because it's very clear, I sent an email to the sheriff's office, the sheriff's commission. I copied DA for the state, DA for the local county. Once they saw that the subject line clearly said, this is a FOIA request, they have never come to me to let me know what their findings were. They were not happy with me for asking and reiterating, tell me, I told you what's going on. Can you tell me what you did? Did you investigate? Did you look at it? What's up? So because I sent an email asking them to let me know what their findings were, they were not happy about that.
Well,
But
the
because
freedom.
it clearly states in the subject line, this is a FOIA request. Do you know they dropped that? They dropped that charge of filing a false police report. How do you drop something and put somebody in handcuffs and drag them out of their house? How do you drop that?
Well, this is why you have a very good case. I would suggest that you get a lawyer as soon as you can. A Freedom of Information, the Freedom of Information Act was passed so that you could get documentation on things that you want. What were you after?
Well, I was informing them of what was occurring. Very specifically, I have videos, I have pictures, I have documents. I've had a journal since this started. So everything is fully done, and he watches me like a hawk. He's broken into my home, and everything about me is personal. He's come into my home. My son played in the NFL and bought me a beautiful diamond bracelet. He came into my home once me and my husband left to go to a casino, and he took this diamond bracelet and chiseled out each and every diamond. I don't know where they went, but he left the bracelet on the top of my counter, so when I entered, I could see that he's there. I collect Coca-Cola memorabilia, and I've been doing it for about 30 years. Do you know that this crease, the Marlins, the Jacksonville Jaguars, whatever collectible it could be, he took the top off of all of these, poured the Coke down the toilet, left the bottles on the counter with the Coca-Cola in the toilet so that I would know that he was there. Is this incredible?
Now,
Even today, what he does to me are only personal things. He is deforming my body. He is attacking me from a sexual standpoint. Everything about me, from my breast to my vagina to my rectum to my figure, everything has to do with me. The problem that he has is he had me wrapped up, but my husband, who had no clue what was going on because he didn't initially target him, but after a few times he started targeting him, and my husband was like, honey, I can't believe this is happening. I'm so very sorry, because he actually questioned me and told me, honey, we got to get you some help. But once the shoe turned and he realized, oh my God, this guy is really doing this. And him being the man that he is, my husband went to him, stood out in the street and called him out of his home. They met in the street. They spoke. My husband said, hey, dude, I don't know what happened. We've been here for over 30 years. Can you tell me, what can I do to rectify this situation? How can I mend anything that we may have done to upset you? What do you think this jerk said? Oh, I don't have any beef with y'all. Yeah, good. I ain't got no beef with y'all. Everything's fine. Walk back in the house and what do laser, microwave, weapons going on? So I told my husband, I said, he doesn't have any beef with us because he's a chicken. You can't win with that type of situation. He throws the bomb, calls all of the different law enforcement agencies. They come over in a brotherhood and support him. It's really awful. It really is. It really is.
Hi, you still
Are
with
you
us?
in Florida, by the way? Oh, I'm sorry. I just thought I'd ask a question to the lady that was just speaking. Do you live in Florida?
Yes, ma'am.
So do I, in Cape Coral. And Cape Coral, Florida, Southwest. And I'm up dealing with similar situations. I'll just add one piece here now, and then I'll mute again. But I'm working on lawsuits against law enforcement myself. The same type of shenanigans are going on, and basically what they don't want is for us to open investigations on them, internal investigations, things like that. And I also believe, because of all the things, similar things that have happened too, they're in the middle of what they hope to be this big martial law rollout. We're supposed to accept it and lay down and die and let them do whatever they want to us, and they're supposed to silence us. And just one more thing, I was eating prior to 6 o'clock, and they didn't want me to come on this show, so they choked me while I was eating. I had to put the food down and sit there with this stronghold on my throat for like 45 minutes, and then I started puking in the toilet. So they said, we don't want her to get on Frank's show. Well, I'm on Frank's show. And, they are going to get a lawsuit down the road. I've got notes, just like you. I've been taking notes and this and that. But unlike you, I am alone. And, they're taking advantage of that as well. But they'll use neighbors that are in their little groupie and get them to say things against you, and then they think they can just show up and attempt to perform a Baker Act, which they think it's going to make them look better. Well, it's not going to make you look better when we get Baker Act lawyers to sue you and we have investigations done on you. I happen to know a lot of who is already doing this to me, so that helps me. But they just the other day, and then I'm going to close after this, they said, let's disappear her. So somebody earlier was speaking about people disappearing. So, and that is rather frightening as well. But the fact that none of us are alone isn't helping the situation end. And I think if we sue locally, if we do know who it is, get yourself some kind of lawyer any way you can, and sue them. And
Yes,
something should stop anyway.
It's
and
very.
to you that you have some paperwork, I might suggest you get copies, put them in a safe deposit box. So things that you already have, because those will disappear too if you're not careful. I have a lot of my evidence, so-called my evidence, against them in a safe deposit box, and they've even talked about breaking into that. And
They can.
let's take, this. They're very just ridiculous. Or giving a warrant to go down and get in. You can't get in my safe deposit box legally. So when I find things missing, I'll be suing the bank where I keep it. Anyway, I didn't appreciate being. And they do choke me when I'm eating quite frequently, and then they sit around and laugh about it. And somebody in the background then says, "All right, we've had our fun." And it's a group of these assholes that live in the. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. That live in this city and everything. We all know how it goes, but yeah, they mentioned disappearing me, so. If I do disappear off the calls, you might want to come look. And I'm going to mute on that score.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, this is where you sound off. This is where you come to let everyone know what is going on in your life and how your targeting is affecting you. And don't apologize if you feel you're getting a little out of control, because you're not. You are perfectly wonderful. But there's a lot of people that do not understand this. And they have to be taught. And the first people that have to be educated is the medical industry. The medical community knows not how to deal with this. They have their own rules, their own protocols for handling this. The police have their own protocols for handling this. They are looking, when you go into a police station, they are looking at how you act. Are you presenting a problem? Are you getting too loud? Are you convoluted? Are you right on the money? This is what they look for. If you start getting emotional, they will grab you right there. But I always tell everyone to try and stay away from the locals. Try and go to the feds, because the feds definitely know about this stuff. Many locals don't. We had one local policeman that was retired that did write an email to Midge Mathis some time ago, and she did forward it to me. And we did learn that we had one person in law enforcement that knew about this. But it seems to me, I could be wrong, but it seems to me that the further you go south, the less they understand. Like, I've heard horror stories from Tennessee. I've heard horror stories from Georgia, West Virginia. The further you get north, it seems that the more they will listen to you, but they will still section you. I can't express enough, though. Go to the feds. You can even go ahead.
Okay, this is I'm back again. This is something that I know about in particular, and I'm going to tell you this. There's a principle that is nationwide among law enforcement, and I believe it started with the same kind of principle that I observed with the Red Cross during the Vietnam War. In wartime, it's very, very important, and it's noble, and it's good, and it's courageous to rescue your person who's being held behind enemy lines, who's been wounded. Go get him. you do not leave anybody behind. And I believe that same principle, because of the secrecy within law enforcement, has been spread around this nation, because I know that there are really wonderful people doing the right thing within law enforcement, but I also know that there are some who are not, and others are duped into thinking they're defending their fellow person, fellow man. And I heard the two testimonies. They make a lot of sense, but there is an organization within law enforcement. I can't remember the name of it. Something that Trump spoke to them, I think, during the campaign. And they support each other all over the place. There is a call on Wednesday night with, what's he called? Sheriff. Sheriff Jones has a call on Wednesday nights. 2 years ago, I stopped going to this call because I asked him after he told us that the reason he could help us is because he was a protectee. I didn't know what a protectee was until I understood a protectee is one who gets protected by whoever. A young boy told me he was a protectee a long time ago. That was just before I got targeted. And I asked this boy, he was an adolescent at the time, and I said, oh, that's great. Who do you protect? And he said, no, we are protectees. And I said, from what? I looked around. We're out in the country. We had animals and birds. And he said, anything. If I get in trouble, they'll protect me. There's that kind of thing that people are duped into thinking they're doing something noble. But I asked Chief Jones is what they call him, I said, now once you told us you are a protectee, and that's how you could help us without getting in trouble with the technology, and I said, what can you do about this? And he said he couldn't do anything about it. The silence and the secrecy about this is the problem. I stopped going to his calls. You might give him your testimonies because they're very authentic, and it might prompt him to do something. It's going to take courage from whistleblowers in all of these different places, agencies, law enforcement, wherever, medical profession, everywhere, that this is infiltrated to get this out in the open. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I have found, just to go to the chat for a second, somebody is mentioning the use of trazodone. I found that it made me very drowsy throughout the entire day, to the point when I went to do a radio show or something like that, I was like spaced. So I said, well, that's enough of that. And I don't do any more sleeping pills anymore. Some nights I suffer because of it, but I don't have the wherewithal to handle trazodone. So I just
Hey, Frank, this is Gary. The trazodone for me, so like I'm the kind of person that I have a really high metabolism, and so sometimes like I like to have a snack before bed, like cereal or whatever. And I noticed that trazodone was like closing up my back throat. So I went to my doctor and I asked him, I said, what do you say to that? He's like, yes. He said, some individuals will have a reaction to trazodone that it was actually making me choke on food. So like if I, at 11 o'clock or midnight, if I had to grab a snack, it was, and if I had taken it an hour earlier, it was actually like making me choke on food. And that was the reason why I had to stop taking it. And trazodone is an antidepressant, I'm sure you are aware, but also that is a side effect of trazodone, that it can make you choke on food.
Yes, I have.
I just want to add.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just want to add to the lady who was, they make her choke on her food. What I have found, if you focus on what they focus on and find the antidote. It took me a minute. The antidote to them choking you is to wrap your neck with as many versatile magnets around it. Double it, triple it, wrap your neck. They are sending weapons directly to
Right.
your to force
Right,
you
to the
choke.
to the muscle in the throat. Right, and they do it all the time. And then
So
they
all you
hold it. I have to obviously then put the food down. I can't continue eating until they're
Right.
ready to let go. But it is
Right.
horrible. Yeah,
But
thanks
you
for
can fight
that.
against it. You can fight against it. Wrap
And
your
what
neck.
kind of magnets did you say?
Well, they sell them at hobby stores. They're versatile
Oh.
sizes, and just use a multitude of different sizes. Get
Oh.
duct tape, gorilla tape, place
Oh
the
my God.
magnets on that tape, wrap it around
Mhm.
your throat. Would make This will make it hard for them to get to your throat,
Reach
and it
it.
will help you because I'm doing it currently right now as I'm speaking to you.
Oh,
My throat
oh
is
wow.
wrapped in magnets. And that goes for any other part of your body. Whatever they focus on is what you need to focus on because that's what's important. Like your ears, your head, all of the
Yeah.
things that they focus on, make sure that is your focus. If you feel
Yeah.
Mhm.
a sensation in your head, wrap it with mylar, magnets. I have a construction helmet as if I'm getting ready to go out and do some work. I put
Yeah.
this on my head to fight against everything that's coming. Plug your ears. And I've heard people tell me, I can't plug my ears because I can't hear. I said, so do you want B2K? Plug your ears. Plug your vagina. Plug your rectum. Then what they do is they force helium in your system to push away everything that you have. Once you realize that, secure it. Secure it. Double tape it, triple tape it, whatever it is you need to do. But remember, whatever they focus on is important.
I have a comment, and I agree with you, ma'am. On the head, what I use is a lead cap, like those blue lead blankets you get at the dentist when you're doing, or any type of X-rays. I see a little bit of a difference, not significant, but I do see a little bit of a difference with the lead cap. Someone suggested put magnets on the lead cap. Tape it on there or somehow adhere the magnet on top of the lead cap, and you'll see a significant difference. I haven't tried that. I haven't done that. I just use the lead cap, and there's been a few times, believe it or not, while I was wearing it, I felt a hit on the head. As a matter of fact, after I looked at the lead cap after the hit, there was a slice mark in the lead lining. It didn't go through the lead, but it punctured the lining. It was a cut, and it was a result of that hit.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
yeah,
interesting that you would mention that too. I'm not on anything, taking any Travzone or whatever any medication that causes this, and these events that happen that they're doing it. It's extremely obvious that they're doing it. As a matter of fact, my throat muscle right now is stressed out from what they did to it earlier. I'll go ahead and mute again. Thank you for your comment.
That is absolutely correct. You can use a X-ray blanket. You can use it in any form of fashion, wherever the hit is coming. I have an X-ray blanket. I use copper plate. I use a variety of different magnets. But I can assure you guys, I promise you, I am heavily, heavily targeted. I have the sheriff's office. I have the local police department. I have all the cell towers. I have DOJ. I have Homeland Security. I have the Coast Guard. They're all right here where I am. what works with me and keeps me alive, and Michael Parson is on this line and he knows I'm on his call every single night. If you will buy hand massagers, invest in them, invest in them. It breaks the frequency to where you can stay alive. These people will eat you up alive. Use a multitude of different types of shielding. Multitude of different shielding. And I promise you, I'm alive. I'm speaking to you, and believe me, I'm not sitting here not getting hit. But I can tell you, I have two hand massagers on both sides of my hip. I have a two brass plates on the back of my bottom. I have red infrared plates on my wall. Something about they use infrared to see. So if you use infrared in any form or fashion and circle it around, it blinds them. It makes them have to readjust as to where to hit you. If you could get a disco ball that is infrared, a flashlight with infrared, and just shine it, poke it, move it, I promise you, you can get a better secure as to how to live. Because these people are not playing. They're trying to kill us. They are truly trying to kill us. And if we can focus on what they focus on, you have a better chance of surviving.
Well, this is what I say. If that works, do it. And if she says it works, try it. The brass plate's going to be damn expensive, I'll tell you that, unless it's plated, brass plating. But the copper is going to be, hey, you need it. We should all I'll check some prices on copper sheeting and copper plates. And I will get back to you this next week, next Thursday.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead.
Hi there. My name's Jay. I just wanted to say a couple things. I've been listening for about the last hour.
Okay.
And some good stuff. I've listened to a lot of good things, good ideas. I'm actually up here in Canada, just about an hour from the upstate New York border, near Ottawa. And my targeting's been pretty heavy in this little town that I'm living in. I actually grew up in this town, but the targeting really increased over the last few months. I think that I've been soft targeted, I call it, for a few years, where I was, stalked and followed, but it wasn't heavy. But I think it increases when you start talking about topics or discovering things about the world that they don't want you to know, or that information threatens their power structure, or their rule. From my experience, I live in a small rural town.
Okay, thank you for speaking up. Now, Beautiful Day just mentioned something that we have owned in the community twice. The community has owned 2 audio spotlights. And what I will tell you is this. The first one went to Pete Santilli. I don't know if you recognize the name, but he has a radio show. He covered the Hammond incident. And he was a friend to the targeted community. The second one I kept in my possession in pristine condition. And the owner, I had it insured. The owner wanted it sent to a kid north of Boston, I think. And he destroyed it. He took it apart and tried to improve it. And he was a drug addict and an alcoholic. And he destroyed it. but we did have one. And you can take that, my experience, and you can put a voice on somebody's shoulder. You can put a voice anywhere. Similar to V2K. It's probably more exacting to V2K. But I was going to take it down to the Whitman police station and have one of the detectives come out front. But I needed a way I needed electricity, so I would have needed a generator. But that's the next thing that I was going to do. Yeah, Pete Santilli, look up on YouTube. He'll have a channel on there. He was arrested by the FBI under suspicion of something or other during that Hammond incident where they took over the whole part of the state, actually. They took over the Hammond Ranch where someone was killed. Okay, well, let me see if I can dig up Pete Santilli's channel, and I'll put it in the chat.
One other thing, guys, that I would suggest is I live by the motto of never take responsibility for another person's bad actions. They're doing this. You're not doing this. This is their problem. Leave it in their possession. Let them dwell in it. Let them soak in it. It's their issue. It's not yours. Don't take responsibility for their actions. It's not you. Once you bring it into your head, into your heart, into your soul, that is when they have precedence over you. Don't do it. Don't do it. And never, ever, ever be fearful. I'm God-fearer. I'm a child of God, and they don't scare me. They're afraid of me because of the fact that they know that my God is bigger than anything that they can do to me. Once you have that mindset, you can overrule them. You can override them. Here I am. I'm one individual. And I'm telling you, I don't let them scare me. They hire all of these little porch monkeys to do all kinds of things. They give them a little gift card. I roll over in my bed and I go to sleep. Don't let them scare you. They're more afraid of you than you are of them. Don't let them take precedence over you. I'm muted.
Thank you very much. Once again, very good information.
Hello there.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, I'm okay. It's Jay. I was speaking before, but my internet connection was interrupted on my computer, so I just called back on my phone. Yeah, they like to mess with me when I get involved in the conference calls sometimes. But I just wanted to kind of keep it brief and touch base on a few things. So yeah, I'm just dealing with a small town, and the gang stalking here is very heavy. I think that most of the town is involved. I mean, they definitely keep me surrounded to make it seem that way. But I've kind of seems like it's a cult of because it's all ages. This is kind of a seniors town, so half of the perps are senior citizens. A little bit of humor there, but I mean, they are what they are, and. Yeah, I've just found that they've infiltrated all the different businesses and the police. I don't really think I need a lawyer, but I don't think I'm going to be able to find a straight lawyer in this town. I'm going to have to get to bigger places. I reported they tried to sabotage one of my vehicles by putting gasoline into a diesel gas tank, and I reported it to a police officer. I should have been recording when I was speaking to him. But he was supposed to get the footage from the gas station and potentially arrest the perp that tried to sabotage my vehicle. But then I never heard from him, and I can't get a hold of him. I'm going to try to follow up, but I think that he's obviously involved with this, the group of people that runs this town, which is like a large group of perps. I've seen them at the hospital. I mean, they're at the restaurants, the gas stations, you name it. They seem to just run the businesses in this town. And being that I grew up here, it's a little bit funny or odd for me because the people that are gang stalking me now are some of the people I went to high school with. And some of my, I call them frenemies, when they were your friends, but they were also, or acting as your friends, but they were also employed by, the program. So I guess in summary, my stalking's been going on for a long time, but it was very soft for the first 20 or 25 years of my life. I'm 43 now. It really kicked into a new level a few months ago when basically they saw that I went to a city and started talking to old friends about some topics, some secret societies, some drone stuff. I'm kind of against vaccines, so I speak against that, and I have for a while. I think when you kind of talk about and move against enough of their agendas, it definitely puts you on the program, right? And one more thing, I think when I joined, Frank, you were just mentioning that, if you don't play along with their dystopian plan for society, which is basically enslaving people and not fair for the average human, but they don't like it, right? They want everybody to dance along and kind of get used by the system. So I've always just had a feeling that there was a better way to run things for people, and I've always worked towards that in my life. But it also makes sense why the people that run things wouldn't really be liking someone like me, kind of free thinking. Anyway, that's a bit of my story, and just grateful for these conference calls, and thanks for that.
Well, thank you for coming, and I hope you'll be back next Thursday. We're here faithfully every Thursday, and we just started doing Thursday calls. We have been doing 9 to whenever calls since 2014. So this is something new, a 6 o'clock call, but a lot of people asked for it because they don't want to stay up until midnight, on the East Coast. It's easier if you're on the West Coast, but not out here. So that's where we are anyway, and a lot more people are getting interested. And we'll be here, and we try to be thorough. If we do present something, and we usually present it on radio, but we can bring guests here. And I think that we shall bring a few guests here. We'll sort of alternate. 1 week radio, the next week conference call. We can get some really good guests too. I feel really terrible about Dr. Duncan passing away. We had him as a guest, good friend and a guest on radio quite a few times. As a matter of fact, he took our radio show, re-recorded it, and put a couple more things in it and called it his own, which was quite fine with us. Hi, TNTI. How you doing? How is everything in Australia?
Oh, hi, Frank. Doing the best we can down here. How are you doing?
Well,
Hi, everyone.
the best we can up here.
Hello. Oh, hey, Frank, just a quick question. If I want to mute the phone, do I push, is it *6 or #6?
*6.
*6, okay.
And *6 to
Um,
*6 to mute, *6 to unmute.
Okay, sounds good. I just have one question. I just listened last night, and there was some good conversation last night. I mean, good stories about different living situations. I want to learn and consider, safer living situations, or maybe hear what has been working out for some of you guys. I moved to an apartment in town, which was definitely the wrong choice because it's kind of a setup. A bunch of the neighbors are perps. And there's 5G modems in like every apartment in this four apartment complex. So it just feels like it's, kind of radiating with signals. And I've noticed on the water tower, which is just down a block away, there's these like aggressive looking antennas, and like one almost looks like a ray gun. So I think maybe some of the targeting is actually done from, right up on top of this high structure in this town. But I don't know. I think one of my ideas is that moving to rural areas is potentially more safe because you're further away from some of the technology and the grid. And I think the targeting is probably stronger in these and well-developed areas. But then I think, of course, you're going to want to use cameras, and fencing, and consider security wherever you are. But that's kind of what I've been thinking. I've also been thinking about traveling around in a camper van, but I'm a little bit leery about that just because I've seen them try to sabotage my vehicles before, and I don't want to get sabotaged way out somewhere. So, yeah, maybe you guys have some ideas or things that are working. I'll share one more idea, which is that I have been working with different shielding. And one type of shielding that I think works well for some of this stuff is to go with organic material than inorganic material. So you're layering with like metal is organic, and then inorganic would be like foam or something that doesn't conduct electricity. So you're layering with like conductive, non-conductive, conductive, non-conductive. I did that underneath my bed because I think I was actually being targeted by my downstairs neighbor with EMP. And I had to put a lot of layers, but after a couple nights, I've pretty much been able to shut out her attacks. But anyway, long story short, I'm happy to be getting out of this apartment in a week or two because it's really toxic, and I'm just working on a new living situation. So maybe you guys have some ideas or things that have been working for you as far as living setups. Hello? You guys still there?
Yeah, we're still here. I don't know what happened to Frank though, but we can hear you.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm looking. I happen to own property, thank God. So I can go back to property that I own. It's definitely out in the country, 15 minutes out of this town. It'll do for now. I may go with a trailer. I have a small cabin on it as well, but it doesn't have full amenities, so it's kind of living a bit rough. But I'd rather be out there than in town, just because this town is just kind of like a setup town, really. I think that they plan to get TIs into this town because it's just populated by seems like 80% perps. It's related to a cult, is what I've discovered. Kind of one of the secret societies, one of the long-running cults. I believe it's Freemasonry, but I'll just leave that open for people to do their own research and consider. I think there's a lot of different cults and organizations involved with, I call it the dark side. which is just, the dark side of reality, of people, of, I wasn't really aware of it for the first part of my life. I thought that the world was a better place, but I've definitely come face to face with what I just term as a loose, big term, the dark side. I'm also a huge fan of Star Wars. I got the Star Wars birthday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. But, just on a side note, I think the Hollywood movies are full of symbols and full of, cult symbols and satanic symbols and messages. Like, Hollywood is just full of subliminal messaging and social engineering, programming us with the movies and the shows. The Truman Show, thinking back on it with Jim Carrey, I'm sure you guys have probably seen that movie. That really kind of depicts being a targeted individual, right? He's watched all the time and like documented, and everybody knows about his life. But and if you look at the title, The Truman Show, so they're after true people, the true man, the true woman. I mean, the message is in the word sometimes. The Truman Show. It seems to me like they're after good people. If you're got some, I think that most of us had something to do in this lifetime where we were going to help out other people, or we're going to work on the world to make it a better place. To put it simply, run a business, or maybe you're just a kind person. It just is helping people on a day-to-day basis. Like, they don't like the good. This is the evil, right? It is the dark side. I think it definitely has satanic elements. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but some of my family members are involved and part of the cult, which was sure a bit shocking to deal with when I finally figured that out. But it is what it is, and I'm happy to get away from those people now that I figured it out. But it's deep and it's dark. So I've definitely become more religious. I'm more Christian now. I trust in the higher power and God. It's been guiding me and protecting me through some bullshit, pardon my language. But yeah, a few months of it's been tough. It's tough when they're all around you and that all the neighbors are in on it. It's it's just nice to get. That's why it's nice to get out of town. I mean. I think some good advice that I heard from other TI is you should move out of your town that you grew up in. Like, that's where I've been stuck for a few years, but they've been playing games to keep me stuck here. So I know that's part of the plan. And if anybody else is stuck in their own town, I think it's good advice you got to get out of the hometown that you grew up in. Of course, it takes some strategy to figure out when you're moving, right? That's what I learned with this place. It was a setup place. Like, they wanted me to move in here, and it was affordable, and it was a setup. So you got to be pretty careful where you move, because they're trying to set us up in places where they can get at us. Anyway, I've been going for a while, so I'll pause there. You guys go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for stepping up to the plate.
Thank you.
You brought a lot of good information. And like I always say, every time somebody comes up to the mic, they might drop that little piece of the puzzle that we need. Now, I would like to say in the chat, Dr. Eric Karlstrom said,
Hi, Frank.
Hi, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a question. I wondered, I know there's a lot of brown eyes here, but I've noticed that most of us targets, I don't know, have green eyes. Have you noticed that?
No, I have not noticed that, but I will tell you that you should protect your eyes. That is the shortest pathway to the brain.
Yeah, I've just kind of noticed with a lot of them that their eyes are green. I just kind of wondered if anybody else noticed that.
Green eyes
That's
are very rare. Excuse me.
green eyes?
Yes,
Huh.
at least in my lifetime, anyway.
Huh. I know maybe it looks like they're green and maybe they're not.
Well, there's a lot of people that wear green contacts that have red hair.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Huh. Well, I just thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to go over Dr. Karlstrom. Now, this is from Yoga Lady, and she listened to Dr. Eric Karlstrom on Rinse Radio, and this is what he said, and it's true. The brainwave patterns of women being raped and tortured are being transmitted to the brains of the targeted women, and they feel everything, even though it is not physically happening to them. He said that repeated occurrences raise cortisol levels and lead to heart issues over time. The targeted brain feels as if it was happening in real time. Actually, it is. This causes heart damage over time. I disagree with that. Cortisol running through your veins over the years causes the damage. I still disagree with that. He also talked about a tortured California politician, David A. Larson, that in 1997 had 10 implants removed. I have the Larson report on our website if anybody would like to see it. And he took them to court, but it was thrown out because there was a document that he supposedly signed where he gave permission to be in an experiment. He was remote-controlled human being, bidirectional telemetry. Okay. He also mentioned James Walbert. But what I'm going to say is this is exactly what we're seeing. I get it, the same thing. Same exact thing. And it's not fun, but it does happen in real time. You are getting thought patterns from someone else. It happens in real time, and they may be selling this on the dark web. Now, there are many people in the world who have sexual difficulties, problems, and whatnot. And they may be the recipients of these taped incidents. I don't know exactly how they tape it. But brain waves can be recorded. So these feelings are within the brain waves, so there's no reason in God's world why they cannot be transmitted to you. I agree with this 1,000%, that passage right there. Thank you, Yoga Lady. Yeah, and as far as David A. Larson, we have the entire report on David Larson on our website under PDFs. But that's great. That's fantastic. Yes, and Obama did pump billions into the Brain Initiative. And I think they steal your passwords while you're typing. TNTI, you have police the next street over?
Yeah, they're just right next to me. in the car I'm in the car parked at the back of my place, and they're standing there with their walkie-talkies. I'm having street theater.
Oh boy.
It's fun living here.
Oh, I bet. I will grab that Larson report. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's going to take me a second. Okay, you guys can continue. It's going to take me a couple minutes to dig this out. And what this shows are the new, well, they're not new anymore, but they don't look like any type of implant that you are used to seeing. Okay, it's in the chat. And Yoga Lady, you should grab that link and put it together with what you have, because I know Dr. Karlstrom has been reading us. Okay, does anybody have any questions about that? I can, if you'd like, I can share this, and you can get a load of some of these wonderful implants. Okay, I'm zooming this in just so that you can be more able to actually see what these implants look like. I'm not, okay, I'll stop right there. See the wires all through there? When everybody's done, I will scroll down. I don't have to, it's a public document. Okay, here's another one that looks really weird. And here's one. Now, I assume these wires are probably antennas, but this almost looks like a handle. Looks like an iron. But this is really something. And there's a lot of information. Here's another implant. And I believe this is after it was taken out. But this is a very, very good document. Okay, here's an implant right there, and here is the implant itself exposed. And it shows the patent number, system for implanting a microstimulator. Inventors, Gerald Loeb, Francis Richmond. Now, I've seen Gerald Loeb's name on several patents I think we have like 22 patents on our site. But again, you can see what the implant looks like. This will be this one right here. And that is that one. Again, there are the patents. The date, May 23rd, 2000. Ordinarily, I might read this whole thing to you, but I am too bloody tired tonight, I'll tell you. Frequency. Now here's something. Private repeater, auxiliary network, frequency in megahertz, call sign. San Diego Peak, Condor, or Hollywood Hills, Sand Canyon, Sherman Oaks, Silver Lake, Altadena, Yorba Linda, Altadena, LA County Fire, Camp 49. But this is a really in-depth report, and I suggest that you get a hold of it. If anyone on a phone line needs it, write me at frank@aihr.foundation, and I will send it right on out to you. But I just wanted to show it to you, just a couple of shots, just to gain your interest. Okay, would anybody like to comment? Hello, Tristan.
Hello.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You've got the line.
Hi, this is Jay again. I think I'm actually on here twice. Give me a second.
Yeah, you're feeding back all over the place.
Oh, hi there.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I've just been, I went from the phone back to the computer, so finally got my internet to work again.
Yeah, sounds good.
I just want to touch base. You guys were talking about Elon Musk briefly earlier, and you know, I love the guy and I hate the guy. I think that he's a genius in some respects, and I'd like to see like more, you know, renewable energy like the solar. And, you know, branching off to Mars is kind of interesting just in case the Earth gets smacked with an asteroid. We would still have, you know, some, the species would potentially survive on Mars. I think he's got a lot of interesting ideas that are positive, but I also think he's got massive negative ideas, and I think that he works for the wrong agendas, particularly trying to put chips in the human body and the human brain. I mean, that is just completely wrong in my opinion. I think once you have a chip in your body, you can be influenced by them putting frequencies through the chip or broadcasting to your brain, especially if you're going to interface your brain with the internet. I think this is actually a huge subject. I think that potentially once you have a chip in your body that can be manipulated by other people with technology, I think that you lose your human free will, because they can cause moods, they can cause thoughts. I mean, it's kind of what we're experiencing as TIs, right? With the V2K, the thought stuff. I've had some manipulation of dreams, weird, bad dreams. But once the chip is in the body, I mean, it's just going to be 24/7. I think that turns a human being into even more of a robot than they've already been working on us to become. So I really think it's a huge thing, because I think potentially putting the chip in the brain is like the end of your human free will. We would be much more robotic and have our moods controlled at that point, potentially. I mean, I think that's probably one of their evil agendas in their playbook. But I've just decided I won't ever be doing it personally. I'm going to live out this lifetime without any chips in the body or the brain, unless they've already snuck into me with some nanotech. I think that's part of their game, is to get the heavy metals into us, and it's in some of the food additives. Like, I try to avoid anything like titanium dioxide, anything that has metal in the ingredients list you want to avoid. But I think by getting the heavy metals into the body, they can use that as tracking. Once you have, because the heavy metals stay in our bodies, so that provides like a magnetic signal potentially. I mean, these are just ideas that I'm learning about, but I think that it makes sense to me anyway. So no chips in the body. That's the plan. But we're kind of halfway there, just to put it in perspective, because I've been carrying around this cell phone for 10 years, and that means that's a tracking chip, and also a microphone. I call it the black box, because that really has increased some of my targeting. One of my mistakes over the years was to be doing all the talking with the cell phone beside me. I'm having conversation with friends. We're figuring out different things, different layers of society, how things are working, all the lies and stuff. And it's all being listened to, right? And then all of it goes on your file. And I believe that basically they listen to our phones with computer software, and the algorithms listen for words that they want to hear. So they have a list of maybe, 500 words. And if you say, terrorist or vaccine or cocaine or anything they want to know about, that is recorded. And once you've said those words a number of times, then your name goes on another list. And, from my understanding, I think that there's massive computer banks which record, have a file on every citizen, right? And it's way more stuff than we would ever want them to know. But I think that's just the way it is, right? It's kind of like the age of information. Information is kind of power. And I guess one more point to add to that is when I'm moving around, or I suggest to TIs to kind of change up your schedule as far as gang stalking, because if you run the same schedule, do the same things at the same times, it just allows them to set up street theater, and have more people, more cars. So it's good to just change up your schedule, and maybe also change up where you go shopping, and just change up the things you do day to day. Anyway, I've said enough. No chips in the body. That's my advice.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. That's a good idea. No one wants chips in their body. I can remember listening to Good Morning America, and the woman, actually was getting a tracking chip installed in her forehand, I guess you'd call it. And she was thrilled with it, and here I am on the other end thinking to myself, oh, holy cow. It's actually the same chip they would use to track an animal in this particular case. It wasn't any type of advanced chip. It was just so that if something happened to her, someone could find her. But I agree. No chips.
Yep. They've done some test projects in at a university in Sweden. This was a few years ago. They actually chipped 5,000 students as part of the research project in their hand, and the chip does multiple things on campus. It unlocks your locker, it unlocks your dorm room, it unlocks your classroom labs. You can make purchases with it. You just swipe your hand and it beeps on the chip, and that goes to your account. I mean, that's got to be one of their plans for the future, is to sell it to people. And they always try to sell us these dystopian ideas with fear, right? I mean, there was briefly a campaign I remember years ago where they were trying. First, it was chip your pets to not lose them, right? Like your beloved dog, put a chip in, you can always find it. It makes sense, but then it moved to briefly to chipping your kids, which thankfully didn't take off. I'm sure they'll try to do it again. But they'll be like, oh, well, it keeps you safer. You can, never lose your kid, which is true, but they don't talk about all the negative things that can be done with the technology. I mean, I guess it's also, it's a love-hate relationship with technology as well, right? Because it can do amazing things, but then it also has all these subversive tracking applications and listening. I mean, that's got to be a huge human rights violation, to be listening to our conversations for years and documenting us on personal and psychological levels. I mean, that's got to be breaking some laws anyway. But I just hope I can find a good lawyer one day and a good police officer. I'm going to have to branch out and look further outside of this community, that's for sure. Anyway.
Okay, that's great. I agree with you. I just wanted to let you know that China uses implanted chips to do the exact same things that you were just speaking of, including digital currency. I mean, today in the U.S., the closest we've come to that is scanning your phone to pay for something. But in China, it's all done with chips.
It's already there, hey? I believe it.
Yep. And they have surveillance in China that is unbelievable. They've got you.
I heard they have I heard they have a test city that has 1 million cameras in it. So every alleyway, every street crossing, you name it, almost every square foot of that city. And then they were using the biorecognition from all these cameras to make arrests. And
yes.
They've already made hundreds of arrests. I mean, it's just wild. It's like a science fiction movie, right? But.
Yes, and then we have the social scoring system. Now, if you smoke a cigarette, we'll say, in the wrong place, or like in a room or on state property, you'll be given a warning. If you do it again, they will take away your ability to purchase a car. If you do it again, or anything else, they will take away your real estate, and you'll be paying rent on it. Then after that, you'll just be thrown in jail and probably hacked up for your organs.
It just sounds like military state, just like, like the country's already in like wartime to be locking down people with that much oppression.
Oh, oppression? You haven't seen anything yet. That country is 1.4 billion, I think, and they really don't care anything about the people. They don't.
Yeah, I believe it. And you see, like, looks like some of their dystopian designs have already been, manifested in China for years, particularly, like, they call it these little apartments they live in. They're like 10 by 10. They call them coffin apartments. It's like that's the whole apartment. Like they have, everything is in the 10 by 10. The bedroom, the kitchen.
Well, do you know where they are? They take those little coffin apartments and they put them above the person's workstation. So not only is he a prisoner, but at night he just either crawls up or is hoisted up into his dwelling, and that's where he lives.
Into the cell.
Into the cell and back down to the job the next day.
That really sounds like a slave type of setup. I mean, you're just a working drone given the smallest living space possible. It just makes me, I was lucky enough to grow up in the country on a larger property, and I own property now, but I just to hold the land, against this evil of government and control. There's an organization I've been meaning to check out. It's all about private property owners and all, exercising your rights against authority and government and whatever other authorities might try to, encroach on your property or cause you problems. So it just reminds me that holding the land, I think, is part of the way to be free. I've always had dreams of working on a homestead, with maybe a small collective of people, a couple of families. I hope to manifest that. I mean, I'll keep praying for it. I know that I'm going to have to move out of this town. This town is controlled by these perps and this cult. So I'm looking forward to getting out. It's going to take me a little bit of time, but I will get out to a fresh area. I mean, some basic advice I've heard is just to get to an area where there's not that many people, and then at least part of the gang stalking dies off, right? They're just going to pass you to a couple of the locals that will then monitor your business. But if it's a less desirable climate or if it's less populated, I mean, that's going to be better for me at this time. Because this town is like a hot spot for perps. There's hundreds in this small town. So being in the town is just not that fun. It's it really seems like there's not many real people in this town. I'm sure that I see them from time to time. I can just kind of read people by their expressions and their eyes and how they walk and talk, and it's refreshing when I actually do see a real person. But I think that it makes sense. Some towns are just, or parts of cities are just going to be, flooded with these people, right? And it's kind of a setup area. They try to get the TI in there, and they're surrounded, for a couple of blocks by just basically 50 or 100 of these people. That's what I'm looking at here, but it's ongoing. I've been just dealing with it and moving forward every day and staying positive and just trying to stay in good shape, right? Eat good, stress reduction, exercise. Try to just keep focusing on your goals, moving forward. Anyway, that's some of the stuff I do. I'm sure you guys do the same.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you joining in, and every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or actually Eastern Daylight Time now.
Yeah, Frank, thank you very much. You've been a great host, and I've enjoyed the conversations.
Thank you. We'll see you next time. We're going to be leaving in 5 minutes, and I just like to prep you for that so that it isn't like, oh, here we go. But I can agree with a lot of the things that you've said. And a lot of people do not know what they should about China. Should start learning.
Yeah, it's kept in the dark, isn't it? They even block out their internet, and they don't share geological information like earthquakes and things.
Well, they don't share anything. They just take. They're trying to take from the Philippines. They're trying to take from Japan. And they obviously want Taiwan.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens up in the Arctic as well. I know that our country, Canada, is putting billions of dollars to, and for working with America as well to enforce the northern border because things are thawing out and there's a ton of resources up there. There's lithium and precious metals, and it's also, pretty much at this point like an unmanned border for hundreds of miles. So it definitely needs reinforcement. And we know that, foreign countries have been looking at the resources there because it's kind of, it's on that uncharted north, right? The Arctic. But anyway, we'll just see what happens up there.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Good evening, Victoria. It's been a long time. We have been worried about you. Would you care to speak? We would enjoy it. Well, Victoria, this call runs from 6 p.m. Eastern until 9, instead of starting at 9. Okay. We probably will run on until 10 maybe next week. I have to kick it around and see how the time looks. But it's been a great night. We've had a lot of great people. And I'm going to say good night from Boston, Massachusetts. And God bless you all. And good night.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate you letting me tell my story. It was awesome. You had a great call. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Thank you so much. And you're all invited to come back, obviously, next Thursday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Love you all, and good night.
Goodbye.
Okay, hon.